What's holding you hostage? Our weaknesses or unhealthy flesh desires can exert complete control over our lives when they go unnoticed, unchecked, and unaddressed. You don't have to remain captive to what is holding you hostage. You can escape your captor, but you cannot do it alone. On this episode, I will talk about what is a stronghold and how it's created, how strongholds take us hostage, the consequences of not releasing a stronghold, and the best way that you can release a stronghold so that your life can be transformed for the best inside out. Listen in now. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Sincerely Deedy podcast. Now, if this is your first time listening in, I am Deedy, your host and friend in faith, and I am flattered that you decided to listen in to little old me. Now that you are here, I want to make sure that we have a chance to stay connected. I want us to grow together. So, subscribe to this podcast, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and follow me on Facebook and Instagram, all under the handle Sincerely Deedy. Now, let's get into today's topic. I am sure you are all familiar with a hostage situation, whether you have saw it on a fictional movie or you have heard it broadcast on the local news. And it usually consists of a hostage and a hostage taker. Now, the hostage is an individual or it can be a group of people who have been forced to remain in a situation where their freedoms have been restricted. And during these traumatic situations, they experience things like fear and anxiety, helplessness, just complete despair. And then you have the hostage taker, who too can be an individual or a group of people who have been able to exert their control over the hostage by subjecting them to physical and psychological harm. Now, hostages can't rescue themselves, or if they try, maybe it would lead to their demise. So, usually, the rescue mission involves a negotiator, someone who can work to secure the release of the hostages and just to minimize the overall harm as much as possible. And this is exactly how I view strongholds that take our lives hostage. When we have weaknesses or unhealthy flesh desires that go unnoticed, unchecked, unaddressed, they take on a life of their own and exert complete control over us. I participated in a 10-week church-wide discipleship program with my church earlier this summer. And it was based on this book called Rooted, which is by the Mariners Church in California. So look them up and support them. But one of the most profound sessions was about strongholds. And it required a level of vulnerability and trust and willingness to explore my personal struggles. And it was also the first time that I was able to pinpoint and accept that I had a stronghold, which my stronghold was control, and how it was holding me hostage for a very long time. It had invoked this fear in me that was keeping me from answering God's higher calling of service, which you are witnessing a part of that calling today through this podcast. But these strongholds, they are deeply ingrained. They're these ingrained patterns of thoughts, of behaviors, beliefs that may originate from things like past trauma, generational and personal sin, or spiritual warfare. And it prevents us from experiencing the fullness of God and all that He has in store for our life. Interesting, when I was learning about hostage situations, there are some times that the hostage can become dependent or develop this attachment to their captor that further complicates their mental state. And this is what I felt like I had experienced when I was avoiding the call. I had this negotiator, the Holy Spirit, trying to mediate and intercede between me and my thoughts, but I was too attached to the fear. I started believing all the lies that I was telling myself about why I wasn't capable, why I wasn't qualified to answer the call, even though I knew the omnipotent power of the one who was calling me. Isn't that shameful? But I was just in this frail moment in my life. I was transitioning from a career. I was trying to figure out purpose again. just trying to figure it out. But instead of holding on to my faith, I placed it on the back burner. I was trying to control every decision in my life. But the longer I was held hostage to that stronghold, the longer it took me to be rescued and released from the stress, from the worry, from the frustration that I was feeling when I was trying to figure it out all on my own. There was nothing I could do, y'all, on my own free will to rescue myself. Just to rescue myself from that mentally dark, deep hole that I had dug myself into. So I'm asking you all today, what is holding you hostage? Is it jealousy, fear, pride, control, bitterness? How are your strongholds restricting your freedom from becoming all that God is calling you to become? When we don't release our strongholds, we can experience a range of negative consequences. And that can include things like damages to relationships with others. It can lead us to feeling worthless and hopeless, which we know have a negative impact on our emotional well being. It could also cause physical health issues because we know there's a correlation between stress and chronic disease. But most of all, we forfeit God's blessings over our lives. Now, you may say, Deedy, you just told us, girl, that strongholds can be so deeply ingrained to the point of no return. So, how do you expect us to release them? And you're right. We don't have the strength, we don't have the power in our humanness to be able to overcome them ourselves. But with God, we can. So, here are a few things that we can do to break strongholds. The first thing is we have to recognize it and we have to bring it to the light. We have to call it out for what it is. In the book Rooted, it talked about a key characteristic of a stronghold is secrecy. So when we know what it is, y'all, we don't want nobody else to know, right? We want to keep it quiet. But if we really want to release it, we have to identify it. We have to identify it for what it is, and we can't sugarcoat it and we can't water it down. We have to call the spade a spade, and then we have to seek God's help to overcome it. Now, another important step is to renew our minds. We have to renew our minds with the truth of God's word. And this means filling our minds with positive, life giving thoughts. And we have to reject those thoughts that are destructive and negative. We have to tell ourselves things like, no weapon formed against me shall prosper, that he who has begun a good work in me will complete it to will finish it to completion. And we have to tell ourselves things like, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. We can pray about it. We can fast because those two are powerful tools that helps us to break our strongholds. When we humble ourselves before God and we seek his help, we are actually inviting his transforming power into our lives that could overcome even the most entrenched, ingrained stronghold. We can seek help from mental health professionals and even a spiritual advisor, because those are two great ways to begin a process of releasing negative patterns and behaviors. But ultimately, y'all, the key to breaking a stronghold is that we have to surrender. We have to surrender our lives fully to God. We have to trust in his love and his grace and his power to transform us from the inside out. And I tell y'all, it's true. When I surrendered, when I renewed my full trust in him, it was turned around immediately. My situation turned around. I was able to conquer fears. I took leaps of faith, even though I had these lingering thoughts, these uncertainties about what I was going to do, how I was going to do it, and what would be the outcome of what I was about to do. But it didn't stop me from moving forward. So, even though we may make a breakthrough, that does not mean that we won't have new challenges. They will arise because we have an enemy who's out there who wants to see us fail, who wants to exploit us, exploit our weaknesses, and who doesn't want us to conform to what is right and what is just. So, our battles may be worse than what we are facing now. But the good news is that we can still claim victory because of the power that lives on the inside of us. So this week, I'm challenging you to examine and identify in your life what's holding you hostage. And you have to be honest about it. You have to identify that stronghold. You have to call it out for what it is. And then you have to surrender. You have to surrender it to God and ask Him to help you to remove it from your life. And He will do it, y'all. He will. And you can do it too. And you know why? It's because you are fearfully and wonderfully made by Him. You are God's greatest workmanship. And when He places that quality stamp over your life, it signifies to the world that you have worth, that you have value. So you have to believe that for yourself. You have to own that. And you can't allow nothing or anyone to tell you anything different. So let's demolish the strongholds in our lives. Let's call them out. Let's give them to God. And let's renew ourselves so that we can be bigger and better people to conquer what God is calling us to do in this season of our lives. This concludes episode 2. I thank you so much for listening in. Thank you for your continuous support. And until next time, I am officially signing off. Sincerely, Deedy.
Hey friend, thank you for growing with me today. Let's stay connected. So follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Sincerely Deedy. Subscribe to this podcast so that you can get first dibs on new episode drops. Also subscribe to our Sincerely Deedy YouTube channel to actually watch this episode. If you want more, you can join my growth and development community to get access to free resources, upcoming events, products and service offerings, exclusive updates, and so much more. Just visit the homepage of my Sincerely Deedy's website at www.sincerelydeedy.com and visit the section Grow Where Your Feet Are Planted. Until next time, go forth and do great things.